Hello, this is Jacek SKYSKI Coach-ing again with Optimal Mind. And today I want to talk about something fundamental when we talk about optimal mind, the state of the world and the state of individuals. We live in more or less oppressive world. For some of us it's less oppressive, for some of us it's more oppressive. And it could be oppressive financially, politically, psychologically, emotionally, materially, or our living conditions could be not optimal. And this happened, and this causes that we, in the end, oppress ourselves, meaning that we are doing to ourselves and we are thinking to ourselves and we are behaving to ourselves in ways that are definitely suboptimal and in ways that makes us slaves to ineffective habits. And I talked in the last one, I did talk about the chicken mind. So the chicken is like an oppressed person that actually has a lot of fear. In English, actually, it works. It's a metaphor in English. And because of that, is blocking his or her talents, is not using all of her potential, and is surrounded by all sorts of external barriers, but also that translate into internal barriers for growth. And the person becomes fixed in some sort of ineffective life, or at least in some area of your life, because everyone has some of that. And so why that happened, that we started oppressing ourselves? And this started with the notion that we had to accept some oppression, some outer power in order to survive. When we lived in tribes, we had to accept the leader of the tribe, the alpha figure, the chief, who then exercised his or sometimes her power in order to have the tribe under control, and in order so the tribe actually survives. So and with that situation, we made sometimes conscious but often unconscious choice to repress some of our thoughts, some of our emotions, some parts of our character in order to fit to the group. And but the world has changed, and we see that we don't have to oppress ourselves that much anymore. We can find a way to flourish without oppressing ourselves, especially we are talking about mental and emotional oppression, because what happens, there is an external stimuli, external event, and then we start using our internal saboteurs like guilt or anger, or wanting to get out, all sorts of behaviors that are ineffective because we are emotionally affected. And so what happened, we also, in defense from this oppression, we also put on masks and armor on ourselves. And these masks and armor are, first of all, they are heavy, and second of all, they cover very well the authentic self, and we forget about our authentic essential self. And then there is, of course, a tendency for a shallow person to develop shallow me, and then we are like everyone else, and we stop being unique, and we stop using our potential and our talents. This also happens when we grow in families. We cannot be totally ourselves. So we would like to find some sort of golden middle, how to agree with a group, family, organization, and how to be yourself at the same time. Because some people go the other way, you know, they are so much of themselves that some of them get killed, some of that those people become crazy, some of those people are perceived as crazy, and some of those people, you know, end up not well in their life because they are rejected and banned from various groups. So this is a stronger picture of what we are talking about in kind of creating an optimal mind, which is a free mind, free from oppression, internal oppression, concentrated on inner compass, on their inner compass, taking it into account and respecting the inner compasses of others, of course, and finding the middle way between having to fit to this world to survive and having and being just yourself. Maybe a few things how we oppress ourselves. So we lose our internal compass, we forget our values, or we neglect them. Our inner voices are swamped by outside voices, that's very popular right now, which causes us to react rather than to lead from inside, from our inner leader, and create. And we become repetitive, we become conditioned, we fall into routines that are not good for us. We search for outside authorities rather than more often just search inside ourselves. There is a famous book that talks about it. Search inside yourself. Very good book. We recommend. And especially by repressing our emotions to stay safe, we block ourselves to such a degree that there is very little of ourselves that remains. And our minds get lost in that quest for survival, and we have sort of a rat race phobia or speed-wired brain, where in that speed we completely forget about ourselves. And that is not the aim of life. You know, the aim of life is not to speed through it. The aim of life is not to win the rat race, because people who win the rat race often pay for it dearly in terms of all sorts of sickness and all sorts of problems. There are only not many who still survive in good shape. So we have to find some middle way and stop blocking ourselves from more. And part of our work here will be to open your mind to perspectives that will increase your choices, and that will help you to have much wider choices with any of your life behaviors. And don't fall into one-way track. Don't fall into what others are doing or what media are telling you. Just being much more yourself, as I say, considering that we have to some degree fit into the system, but also finding different systems. And I remember when I lived in communist times, before behind the Iron Curtain, which was like a big cage for so many millions of people, most people that I knew then, they accepted the reality. They accepted it partially to survive and to be calm, and that's understood. But very few people, even though if it was always possible, decided to leave, more or less escape. But it was possible. It was not so difficult to escape the system, but very few people did it. And mostly it was younger people with more open minds, with wanting some adventure in life, and that included me, because I was 25 when I escaped the iron curtain, but it was not really like escape. It was possible in some other ways. I will talk about it later. So we get used to our world so much that we don't see all these other perspectives. And here, this is a source, this is a space, this is a laboratory of other perspectives, of different points of view. So actually you can make better choices and let go of at least some of your oppressive things, you know. So for example, some people oppress themselves about their weight. And what was found that just by this oppressing themselves about the weight contributes to them gaining even more weight. And people who let go and stop oppressing themselves and just gently start living a better lifestyle actually lose weight. So this is just a physical example, but this goes to anything. There is a lot of kids here in this country that goes to public schools which are not very great, while they are actually open, also funded by the government, open schools that are not so strict and where the learning is much easier and more fun. And somehow the parents don't send them there that much, you know, because, and even the kids sometimes block themselves from going there because they feel the need to be somehow tied in, so they are told what to do. And if you are waiting to be told what to do, that is a sign that your mind became enslaved to some degree. So just watch yourself, see whether you prefer to be told to do or you prefer to innovate and choose by yourself. And that's a full freedom when you can choose. But many people got used to not having to choose, and many people are not taught by the parents and by the school system to choose, and therefore they just choose what their parents wish or what the actual system and marketing wants from them, and they lead their life which is not theirs. And to live a really great life, you have to live your life, and you have to reach deep into your essential I to discover what it is and to discover what you really want. And I'm hoping through this journey, through these explanations, through our discussions, will help you step by step to find your way and recover your inner compass. Thank you so much.